Hello, welcome. My name is Andy. We are learning Picture Perfect Greek here, and last time we talked about Greek letters K and L, the kappa and the lambda and the omicron, which are very similar to the English letters. And today we have some more sneaky letters. And sneaky letters, I call them because they look, at least in their capital forms, like the English letters, and they are more or less pronounced the same, but the small letters look very different and can be confusing. And so this is what we will look at today. Let's begin with two relatively easy ones, the A and the E, we would say in English, or the A and the E in Greek, because they are pronounced like that. The alpha, you speak like you say in English, Anna or ascend, and the E you pronounce like in English, and. So these are not A and E like in English, they are really A and E. And if you look at how they are written, I put the English ones below for comparison, you will see that the capital letters look the same like the English ones, but the small ones look subtly different, and you have to be careful to write them in the right way. Now, if we look at the next group of three letters, you will see the Z, which is in Greek called the zeta. This is the letter that we use in English in zoo or zebra. And the capital again looks exactly like the English one, but if you look at the small one, it looks pretty weird, right? It is this very strange shape. And you just have to memorize that. You write it in handwriting almost exactly like that. But we are not learning handwriting now. We are learning to read mostly. So memorize this shape. There's another letter that looks similar to it, the Xi, which we will talk about next time, but has one more dent in it. So you have to also learn to distinguish these two. For the moment, just look at how the Z looks, the small one, particularly because the big one looks essentially the same like in English. And then we have what is called in modern Greek the eta. It's sometimes in ancient Greek, it's called the eta, but in modern Greek we call it the eta. And the E, this is an E sound, although it looks like an H, right? So this is why it's a sneaky one. It looks like an H. You think it would be pronounced something like hu or something like that, but it's not. It's an E. It's a clear E. And so it is the kind of E that you use when you say inside or India. And this is exactly the same sound that the other E also makes, the next one, which is the iota. And the iota E also makes the same sound inside and India. There is no difference at all between them. It's just a historical thing because, Greek comes from ancient Greek and has a 2,500 years history behind it. And so over this time, these letters have changed their pronunciation. Ancient Greek did distinguish between them, but this distinction was lost in modern Greek. And so now all these letters make the same sound. And this is what you can almost call the great Greek E conspiracy, because actually there are lots of letters that are all pronounced E. And if you look at it here, you have the iota in capital and the iota in small, and the eta in capital and the eta in small. And then you have the epsilon, what we would call a Y in English, right? This capital Y or capital epsilon is also an E, no difference from the other E's. And then you have the small epsilon, which looks like a V, but it is also an E. And then you even have two-letter combinations like epsilon iota, omicron iota, epsilon iota. And these are also E, and they are also indistinguishable. So these letters are all inside India. You could write these words with any of these letters and they would sound exactly the same. I know that this is a little bit confusing, but actually, see it as an advantage of Greek. You don't have to remember different pronunciations, right? It's all the same. It's all E. If you are unsure how to pronounce something, just say E to it, and there's a good chance that you will be right. Okay. Now we have some other letters here that are more traditional in the way they are pronounced, but again, the small letters look a little confusing. So first is the mi, which is the starting letter of money or monkey in English, right? It's just an M sound. Then you have the ni, which is like a needle or night, is the N sound. But if you look at it, you will see that the shape is different, right? So the mi is this shape, which perhaps you know it from mathematics, and the ni actually looks like a little V, but you have to be a little careful with the V because I show you again from the previous page, the small epsilon, the small E also looks like a V, only this one is rounded while the small ni is pointed. It's not rounded, and that's the only difference. So don't confuse them because one makes an E sound and one makes an N sound. And finally, we have the most sneaky of all is what in English you would call a P. And actually the capital letter is exactly the same, but it's not a P, it's pronounced R. So this is very confusing, and there is no other R in Greek. So what the letter R that you have in English does not exist in Greek at all. The R is represented by what in English you would call a P. And the P sound then is its own letter we will talk about next time. So this R, from now on you have to learn to see it as an R, is what you have in the beginning of words like red and race, and this is not an English P. So please remember it, although it looks like a P, you always pronounce it as an R. Think of it just as an R with the additional leg missing. And finally, the last two letters we will see today, the T is, again, the capital is the same, only the small letter looks different. It does not have the top part, right? It is only the lower part of the T under the horizontal line is what you would use in words like telephone or TV. The pronunciation is exactly the same. And then you have what I already told you, the epsilon, which is the capital you would call a Y in English. It's called an epsilon in Greek. And it's, again, an E sound, and take care that the small one is also not a V and is not a ni. It is a E. It is an E, a E sound. And again, it's like inside or India. And so now here we have an overview of all these letters, so you can try to remember them. Here they are all together. You have the A like above, the E like and, the Z like zoo, the E like India, another E like India, the mi for money, the ni for night, the ro for real, the T for train, and the E again, the epsilon for India. So you see you have 3 E's already in this list of letters. Okay, now let's practice it. I give you a few words here and you try to pronounce them. Let's start with the first on the left side, the one that begins with an A. How would you pronounce that? Andi. Andi. And I will next time tell you about the NT combination, which is in there. For the moment, ignore that. Next one, the one that begins with an E sound. How would you pronounce that? Yes, it's an Ella. Ella. You remember perhaps from last time, this weird thing in the middle is the L, the lambda. If you don't remember this, go back. The other video is there waiting for you, and try to remember this letter also. Then the next one of the green list, the bottom one, is a zeta. This is actually the name of the letter itself. The Z is called zeta, the name of the letter, and zeta is also the word that you can read here. The next one on the right side now, the yellow letters on top. Try it yourself. This is imera. Imera means day. Imera. And sometimes the E is left out at the beginning and it's only said mera. Mera also means day. So imera is perhaps the little more official one which you would use when you write it, and mera is without the E, is what you would say to your friends when you are not writing it. The next one, try to pronounce it. This is miti. Miti means nose. And again, this is to show you that the two E's, there's no difference. One is written, because historically it has developed from an ancient word that used epsilon in the first place and eta in the second place. But they are both E, so now it's miti, and there would be no difference in pronunciation if you wrote it with any of the other E's. And the last one, rima. Rima means verb in grammar, like, to go, to eat, and so on. This is all a rima. And again, you can see that the beginning now is an R sound, rima, and the second letter is again an E. And then you also have the sneaky mi, which looks very different from the English M, but this is the Greek M. So let's read them again all together. Andi, Ella, Zita, Imera, Miti, and Rima. And if you are still not sure, then go watch this again and try to do this exercise again by yourself. Then you will learn them very easily. And next time we will continue with the rest of the letters of the alphabet. So make sure that you tune in again, and see you there. Bye-bye.